Hi, welcome everybody to our workshop, Diversity in Software Development. My name is Christine Wallmüller-Schiller, and I'm responsible for marketing and communication and business development at the EIT, the Austrian Institute of Technology, at the Center of Technology Experience. And I'm very proud to moderate here with this session for you. Let me introduce, first of all, the speakers of today. We have Christine Meisel. She is responsible at the FFG for the program management in the field of diversity. Then we have, afterwards will talk Quinn Nguyen. She is scientist at the EIT, at the Center for Technology Experience, and she's very experienced in the field of social experience. She's their team lead for the field social experience, and she will explain a little bit what is diversity experience and also give an overview about research activities at the EIT concerning diversity in the field of diversity. And afterwards, we will have Christina Hochleitner. She is Chief Research Officer and Gender Officer at Risk Software in Upper Austria. And I'm very proud that you are also all together here and we have a wonderful session together. So I think we can start. Today, let's say it this with the first row. We have the day of today, the International Day of Cultural Diversity. So please mark it in your calendar. This is the 21st of May. So it is very suitable that we are talking about diversity in software development right now. And we will focus on the role which plays diversity in software development, but also what is diversity experience actually. But first of all, let me start with Christine Meisel, and I ask you to start your presentation, give us a little bit of a short overview concerning diversity funding activities of the FFG. So Christine Meisel, it's your stage.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. Just the presentation mode. All right. So I'm very happy to present some of the diversity funding opportunities that FFG offers. So I work at the Austrian Research Promotion Agency as a program manager and deal very much
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you do it in a presentation mode, please?
Yes, I thought it was. Sorry.
No, it's the normal mode I tried now.
Okay. Okay, it's on the other screen. It's not in the presentation mode. All right.
So it's easier to follow.
Better now?
Slides. No, not really.
Still not? Okay.
So just that Bildschirm presentation and then...
Yeah, it's working on one screen, but not the one that I need, I think.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I just have to move it to the other screen.
But if it's not possible, it's not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway. So plus,
yeah, I think it's not letting me do it right now. Sorry.
It's a little bit smaller, but no problem.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm working in the at the FFG in our diversity programs, and we have a number of programs that deal with diversity. I will talk about two of them today. The first one is DiversiTech. It's a program that promotes organizational development and a culture of innovation in scientific and technical companies. And the companies that take part in this program implement needs-based activities in their organization and try to create an attractive working environment in which diversity is valued. So a little bit later, we will hear from Christina Hochleitner, who has actually implemented such a project, but I will give you the background on what the aims of the project are. The DiversiTech projects aim to enable participation, career development, and innovation for all employees. So our belief is that, especially in the field of innovation, it is very important to have a number of different perspectives at the table to have the best research results. Who can actually apply at this program? So two groups can apply for funding here. One of them is companies that have some kind of connection to R&D, so either R&D projects, their own R&D departments, or the need for highly qualified R&D personnel. And the other group are non-university research institutions that are focused on STEM subjects. Both have to be based in Austria or have a branch in Austria. The projects can take between 6 and 24 months, depending on the needs of the companies. And the funding rate is between 50 and 70%. So small companies get 70% of the costs reimbursed, medium-sized 60, and large companies will get 50% of the costs. And the maximum funding is 50,000 euros in these projects. So what we want to achieve is that the companies actually focus on activities that are most relevant to them, so they can implement a number of different activities in the field of diversity. I have collected a few examples. Our funding guidelines offer many more, but just to give you an idea of what this could mean. So you could set quantitative goals, for example, increasing the number of women in positions where they are currently underrepresented. You could collect data to get an idea of where your organization currently stands in diversity. You could design a career development program that is maybe open to all employees of all ages. You could host unconscious bias trainings, build networking groups for different employees, and also importantly, you could train your managers in the spirit of new leadership and diversity. How to get funding in this program? So the eligible activities I just talked about, so everything that is in the field of organizational development that advances diversity, equality, and inclusion in the organization. And the costs that can be funded in this program are mostly personnel costs for the company itself, but also costs for an external person or an external organization that comes in with diversity expertise to help the company get different perspectives and to analyze this topic professionally.
Christine, just to interrupt you. We still see the first slide, only the first slide.
Oh no.
Of the presentation.
Oh no, so you saw nothing of that, all of that?
No, we see
Oh no, okay.
Now it's changing, so now we see the second slide. Is it okay?
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I will, that was the key facts. Those are the organizations that are allowed to take part in the program, as I was saying. And here are the examples. Can the participants get the slides later on?
Yes.
Okay,
sure.
then
Sure,
I will
sure.
just go on now. Okay.
We will share the slides. Sure.
Okay, great. And yeah, this is how to get the funding. So you can apply anytime in our application portal. And last but not least, I will talk about the diversity check.
See it. It's perfect.
Which is similar to the DiversiTech program, but it is smaller in size and also targeted at SMEs. So you can work on similar topics as in the bigger DiversiTech program, but the funding in this case is a maximum of 10,000 euros. There are projects that are maximum of 1 year. And you can only get the costs for the external diversity expertise funded. So in this case, the company has to cover the personnel costs themselves. And you can choose from one of the topics that we suggest. So for example, diversity analysis, trainings, mentoring, recruiting, or establishing a gender equality plan. Or you can also choose from an open category that is in the context of diversity in your organization. Yeah, so sorry about the technical issues, but that's it from me. If there are any questions afterwards, I'm happy to help, or you can contact me at this contact info. Thank you.
No worry, thanks for this overview, Christine, and we will share the slides afterwards and we can also discuss. So if there are any questions, please use the chat either or ask the question after the presentations. So with this, thanks for sharing the slides, and we step forwards because we are sharp in time, and I ask now Quinn Nguyen to continue. Quinn is scientist at the AIT Center for Technology Experience, and she is leading the social experience team at the AIT and focusing on diversity experience research since several years, so she's quite experienced in this field. Yes, Quinn, I ask you to start your presentation, please.
Thank you. Welcome from my
We see
side
the
as
slides,
well.
it's all perfect.
We see the slides. Let's see if I move to the next one that also works, just to be safe. This works, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So welcome from my side as well. Thanks, Christine, as well for the presentation. My name is Quinn Nguyen, and yeah, I'll talk a bit about what we understand diversity to mean in the context of software development and development of technologies in general, with a few research examples and a few maybe reflection ideas that you can also do in your workplace. Before I dive into the content, I'll give a quick overview of what I do at the Center for Technology Experience, or our whole team does. So we have a really interdisciplinary orientation for technology development, technology research. We provide research services that accompany tech development projects and that use user-centered and human-centered design approaches. We design and develop future interface technologies in the area of extended reality, for example, in the context of automation and in Industry 5.0. But we also do a lot in health and care sectors with assistive technologies for people with disabilities, using AI to support also social connection and things like that. For today, the focus is really on diversity, and so I also want to dive into what we call social experience. So that means that if we interact with technology, yes, there are technical components. There's also a question of how things are handled, the usability and the user experience, but there's also the social experience. And we investigate that from basically two larger fields of research. On the one hand, we look at diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And then we look at how resilience can be supported through technology. What you see on the left-hand side with the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, that means that we not only look at, for example, in accessibility, the technical aspects, like is there enough contrast on a website so that everyone can read it, but also we look at social and cultural aspects. So a previous project we had is, for example, how can we improve digital payment processes for people with disabilities or people that don't have a lot of digital competencies, or even those who really don't have access to a smartphone for financial or for other reasons. So that's an example of what social accessibility means beyond the technical aspects. And then on the right-hand side, for the topic of resilience, we look at, on the one hand, how we can measure resilience and how we can create interventions that support your resilience, so your ability to take damage without, or stresses and things like that, without being hurt by it, but also how well you can recover from burdens and how well you can adapt. So how much you can learn from stresses and how you can grow stronger from these things. And in the field of mental health and well-being, we try to develop technologies that support that, for example, with an AI chatbot or with a smartphone app that provides you with exercises and reflections and things that you can consider to to help you with your resilience. But we also look at resilience more from a more societal perspective, from a point of view of climate resilience. So in the face of climate change, what adaptations and changes can we make so that we can ensure that we remain resilient as a society? Now, I want to give you a quick overview of what we understand diversity to mean, because it's, as you can see, a lot of different things. And I think many of these are in people's minds, but many of them are also a bit more forgotten usually. So these are all dimensions that kind of intersect as well, and that have different impacts depending on what kind of configuration a person has in terms of their diversity. But yeah, we oftentimes consider age or education or ethnicity, but also things like class, like are you from a working class, are you middle class, does make a difference in how you approach technology and what you need from technology as well. Then a lot of customers ask, so yeah, diversity is nice and all, but is it really essential? And here I want to give you a few examples of what happens if diversity is actually not considered. I can imagine that a few of the examples, they're quite well known, so maybe you've heard of them already. But what you can see on the left picture is a crash test car dummy. And for the longest time, the crash dummies were remodeled after a male body in the 50th percentile, so a very average male body. And that put people that don't belong in that bodily category at higher risk of injury and death in car accidents. So there are statistics, for example, that while men are more likely to be involved in a car accident, women are more likely to be seriously injured because they're more vulnerable to whiplash, or they sit closer to the steering wheel so that they can actually drive, and they have a lower bone density as well. So these things for the longest time haven't been considered in something that essential that a lot of people do in their everyday life. And then on the right hand and in the middle picture, you can see when technology either doesn't work or becomes offensive and discriminatory. So here you can see that the facial recognition of the camera doesn't work, and it doesn't recognize that these Asian people are actually not blinking. And on the right hand side, I think it was a Google or Facebook image which categorizes these Black people as gorillas, actually. So yeah. So these are things that happen if diversity is not considered. So yeah, I think that quite clearly shows some reasons why it is important. Next, the question is how can we do diversity and inclusion in design processes? And you see here the typical human-centered and people-oriented design approach, where you do iterative cycles of analysis, design, development, and evaluation. And in each of these steps, you can actually think about accessibility, inclusion, diversity, and equity. So you can do, as part of your analysis process, you can have a look at the accessibility and diversity aspects that need to be considered as well. In the design, we oftentimes provide training on how to do diversity-aware design. In the development, we oftentimes conduct co-design that involves all the stakeholders that are involved. So if we design an app and we want people with disabilities to also be able to use it, then we invite those people into the process and design it together with them in a co-design process. And also in the evaluation of technologies, again, you can include accessibility reviews, diversity checklists, and things like that as well. So in each of these steps, it's possible and important to consider the aspects through different methods to ensure that you have an inclusive design process. With a look at the time, I think I'm going to just present you one of the projects where we were able to realize diversity awareness and improve on the status quo, basically. So I'll focus on the project on the right-hand side in the upper corner. So obviously AI is the biggest thing. It's quite a boom, and AI promises, on the one hand, really high potential for personalized systems that should also take into account groups that are often less visible. But on the other hand, we know that existing AI systems lack fairness and often reproduce or even reinforce inequalities, and that there is the problems with bias as well. So in one of the projects, which is called DemiCare Plus, we are developing diversity-aware AI-based personalized information systems, specifically for informal caregivers for people with dementia. So, for example, adult children of parents that have dementia, and give them tools that are personalized to help them with this burden, basically. So this AI-based analysis that we develop in there can also offer a forecast of systems and coping strategies that can prepare the users for future challenges without overwhelming them. And it also can take into consideration their current mental and physical state to adapt the suggestions and the support that the users should receive. So that's one way that AI can be developed in a diversity context, in a diversity sensitive context. Last, I want to give you a few thoughts, basically, of things that you can think about, questions that you can ask yourself in the development process to ensure more accessibility, inclusion, and diversity. So, for example, if you think about the target group that you develop your product or service for, then you can ask yourself, which target group is your solution being developed for? Who is excluded, and do you want them to be excluded, or is it just the status as is, or what are the reasons for people XYZ not being the target group? And then for your target group, which diversity dimensions are addressed either explicitly or implicitly? You can also think in terms of innovation, if considering diversity dimensions can be a unique selling point. So is that something that makes your product really unique and different from other things that are in the market? Are there already products or services that address really gender or diversity specific issues? And lastly, in terms of the impact, you can also think about what the results of your service or solution are for the group. Are they going to be affected negatively or positively, and in which ways? Which groups may be disadvantaged by the results, and also what broader social impacts can be generated through the solution that you develop. So yeah, this is not all of it, but I think we're quite short on time, so I'll keep it at that. As Christine said, you can have the slides afterwards, and I'm open for any questions and discussion afterwards. So in the meantime, thanks for listening.
So thanks, Gwyn, for this fabulous presentation and also the quick overview. It's not so easy to give an overview in this short time. Regarding my watch, I just asked as we make a quick switch to Christina Hochleitner. Christina is Chief Research Officer and Gender Officer at the Risk Software since 2020. She's also lecturer at the University of Applied Science in Hagenberg in Upper Austria. And Christina is also very, very experienced in the field of usability and human-computer interaction. And before her time at the Risk Software, she was also scientist at the AIT. So it's a little bit like a family meeting today. And I'm very proud to give you now the stage. Christina, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my slides? Everything in place?
Yes, we can see your slides. That's
Perfectly.
perfect.
So thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to tell you a bit about what we at Risk Software did in terms of gender and diversity. So far, there's still a long way to go. But before I start, let me do some product placement. So basically, I just want to tell you a bit of our background, that you know why gender and diversity are very important for us. We're a non-university research organization situated in the little town of Hagenberg in Upper Austria, which is also called the Silicon Valley of Austria. So basically, we have about 80, in the meantime, companies all dealing with technology, with information technology, informatics, mathematics, all in these technical fields. And overall, Hagenberg has about 2,000 inhabitants, and we have about 3,000 people working there and studying there every day. So we also have a University of Applied Sciences there. And just to give you a bit of a background, Hagenberg was established from a university institute at the Johannes Kepler University in Linz, and that's where we come from. We're basically a spin-off of the Johannes Kepler University, meaning that we belong to 80% to the JKU in Linz and to 20% to the region of Upper Austria. In general, we are a non-university research organization. We have been established in 1992, so not exactly a startup anymore. We do software development, applied research, and technology transfer from science to industry. Why diversity is very important? Firstly, it's because we all know the benefits of diverse teams. So it's very important to have diverse teams. And of course, we also develop software, not just for one target group, but for a wide audience of possible users. So it's completely natural to also have developers with a wide area and diversity in their backgrounds. As of right now, we are about 90 people from 9 different nationalities. Overall, we have about 29 to, I would rather say, 30% of female employees. But that's not a given, and that's not for granted. As I mentioned, we have been established in 1992. And we managed for entire 9 years until 2001 to actually have our first female employee. So as we are in a very technical field, it's really hard to find female scientists, female researchers. And we still have the gender cliches for young girls to go into technical fields and go into information technology and mathematics. So we're still fighting that. And just to show you a bit of our process or our progress, what we did to get there. Overall, we have already heard about the funding opportunities by FFG. We actually used a lot of them, as you can see from the 4 projects over here. We started very early in the area of gender. So it was back in 2011. So we were focusing on gender and kind of transitioned into the topic of diversity, which we are addressing as of right now. I'll give you a short overview of the projects that we did. So the first project was a Femtech Karriere project called Futurisk. As you can see, we like to play with our company name. That project started in 2011. Back then, we had 35 male employees and 5 female employees, so not really a lot. And we focused, of course, because of that background, on gender mainstreaming, on getting female interns to work at our company, and overall increase the number of female employees. Then we had a short break, and in 2017, we started Fempowered at Risk. Again, Femtech Karriere project. There we found out we had already, back at that time, 17 female researchers, but they were working as scientists in projects. They did not have any management roles. So that's why we took on the project to provide them trainings to actually become project managers, or actually to transition into management. Another thing that we established with Fempowered at Risk is our Fem Club, which is kind of a safe space for women in our company, where we meet several times a year, discuss private issues, discuss workplace issues, and just meet together and network. We also established a mentoring program and transitioned a bit into public relations to showcase what we're doing and to also give some voice to our female role models that we, by that time, of course, already had. The next project is called Riskversity. Again, a play with our company name. There we focused on a gender equality plan and on recording some KPIs. Until then, we didn't actually consciously record KPIs in terms of gender and diversity. So for us, it was a big step because we're not really a KPI prone company. To see what KPIs are interesting for us. What do we need to get forward? What do we need to see the development of gender and diversity in our company? We established communication guidelines internally and externally. We also established 2 gender equality officers, had awareness trainings on different topics, created generational awareness, because we found actually out during this project, we have from generation X to Z, everybody in our company. And this is going, especially also in the future, to maybe create some conflicts. So we focused on this topic a bit, but we're still not done there. And we also had a look at diversity in research and research projects. And I'm very happy to announce that beginning of June this year, basically in 1 week, we'll start our DiversiTech project, which you have heard before, where we would do, again, trainings, workshops, and keynotes, but based on the employees' interests. So we will do a survey beforehand to see what are the needs of our employees, of our colleagues, what do we need to do, what do we need to address, are there certain topics that we should definitely include. And we're also going to do 2 certifications. One of them, Arbeit und Familie, so work and family, and the other one on diversity, because we have already a lot of measures in place in terms of the certifications, but we haven't formalized them. So that's what we're going to take on. And in terms of the generation issue, we are creating a career website which focuses on different generations and their needs towards, job interviews, and to actually comfort them and to meet them where they are at. So that's just a brief overview. I could talk for hours about that, but it's a brief overview of what we did so far. So what has changed based on everything that we have done? So the key changes I have here are basically in the last 2 to 4 years. Based on our workshops, we found out that communication is a big issue, and also understanding of different languages. So what we do is we offer German courses for our international colleagues, which are on premise, and every week there's a German teacher coming for 1.5 hours to teach German to them. But we also found out that we have Austrian colleagues who might have a problem in speaking English or are not so proficient in English anymore. So that's why we also offer English courses for Austrians to better understand and communicate in English. We do have an international calendar where every colleague can put in their religious, cultural, or even personal holidays. We do awareness workshops and discussions on the topic of generation, because as we found out, it's a topic that it's going to grow in our company within the coming years, and it needs to be addressed. In terms of recruiting, we have established that for each job interview, there is a female person present in the interview to also showcase our role models, but to showcase also the diversity and gender equity in our company. In general, as communication is a big topic, we do communication and conflict management training, because if conflicts arise, we can communicate, we can talk it out. And together with AIT, that's the family part again, we do the Femtech research project, Embodied Perceptions, where we have a look at pain perception from different perspectives. So what did we learn from all of that? We found out kind of the hard way that there is no simple, fast and easy solution for some topics. For example, generations. We found out in the last project that generations are a topic that are going to grow at risk. but we couldn't solve the problem right now. So it's a process, and this process is going to take a few more years on addressing it, on discussing it, and it's a living organism, basically. We also found out the hard way that the workshops and trainings have to fit the company value, the company spirit, and of course the target groups. In the beginning, we had a diversity workshops that touched the basics. So what is diversity? What is gender? How can you address that? We found out that our colleagues actually already knew that and were not that interested in the workshops. So what we did is we reworked the workshop program and included topics that are interesting to them, like microaggressions in the workplace and different types of gender and diversity, which are actually current for our company. They always say it's important to include male allies, and especially in a technical area as we are, it's very important. We still have 70% male employees. So if we only do measures for women, they kind of feel excluded, and that also creates problems. So it's really important to have everybody on board. Everybody also includes management, because without the management, nobody would participate in the workshops because they wouldn't get the time to do that and so on. So it's really important to also have them on board. And for us, it's true that funding is key. Without the funding of the 4 projects, we wouldn't have done half of the things that we did. Basically, I mean, we still have the funding of 50%. So basically, we still have to afford 50,000 euros by ourselves. But even then, without the funding, it's a psychological thing. We wouldn't do that. It's really hard to get it by management, to actually have the boards, the advisory boards and everything, to get the possibility to do the workshops and all the measures, to get the external speakers. So without the funding, not even half of all that I told you just now would have been possible. And sometimes we also found out the hard way, it's hard to change existing patterns. And what's important there, it takes time. You have to have patience. You have to keep going. You have to repeat the workshops, the awareness measures. You have to talk to people. There are sensitive topics involved. So it takes time. Just keep at it and stay at it. So just a brief overview, and I'm happy to talk about it like hours. But thank you for the possibility.
Thanks for this very quick also overview, and your fabulous presentation was really nice to get this overview what you're doing and all the different measures you do, and also the perfect journey you did since several years, since 2011 I think, I suppose it was. So it's really impressive, and also a good circle to come back to the FFG funding, because without funding, you said, Christina, it's not possible, and also the research activities that Quinn presented to us. And with that, I ask you, do we see any questions right now? Please ask in the chat or just ask directly as you want. I'm just waiting. In the meantime, I have a question. How can we see now the danger coming from the United States and also the government of Donald Trump, that diversity and equity and inclusion is in danger and also under pressure? So how do you focus this pressure and this danger, and how can we in Europe find a way to work against this danger? Anyone who wants to answer, Quinn or Christina?
I can say a few words. So for us, it's basically a thing of company values. And that's what actually our management has established, that we stand by the diversity values, and we're going forward with that. And we will address that no matter what comes, basically. So for us, it's really important, and also to showcase what we're doing as right now, or have our role models stand there and present what we're doing, and be a light tower, I would say, or a leader in this area. So for us as a company, it's really important to continue the path that we started.
Queen, do you want to add also
Yes,
something?
yes. I think I can, in terms of like the internal view, I can only agree with what Christina said. I think it's really important. We see that were those things values or were they just more like image? And if it's really a value, then we need to continue with it, even if there's some resistance. But what we also notice is, of course, in terms of customers and research focus, that there might also be a change or less of a focus on these topics because of the politics and things like that. And in that regard, I think it's the most important to really make clear what the benefit is of being inclusive and diverse and so on, like for us internally in the companies, but also in terms of the products that we produce and the services that we offer, that we actually gain monetarily and structurally and all these other dimensions if we do diversity aware design and development and things like that. I think that's really important, and that's quite difficult because these soft factors are oftentimes less easy to quantify. So I think that's also a challenge to how we communicate the changes and the positive benefits that come out of the things that I presented before and that also Christina presented. So I think that's a challenge that we are also trying to address, to how to communicate in a way that's understandable and also like is seen as valuable to customers and partners and so on.
The second question is concerning research. You both named the project Embodied Perception. I think it's a wonderful example how it is possible to raise the awareness also concerning gender-sensitive medical treatment of women, females. Could you explain it a little bit more? Queen, may I ask you?
I think, Christina, you said you were part of the project actually, right? And then I'll leave.
Okay, so then Christina can tell you a bit more.
I'm not sure if I have more details, but basically it's a collaboration with AIT and several companies, and it's about the pain perception depending on different body types, different gender, and different backgrounds, and how to communicate actually also pain perceptions.
Yeah, and maybe I can add to that. Sorry, Christina.
No problem. First continue.
I think it's really interesting, this topic and this project, because it really addresses an issue of communication between patients and doctors as well. That the way patients at this point communicate pain is not sufficient for them to really showcase what symptoms they have, but also that so that gives the doctors more information that they can work with, and it also empowers the patients so that they become more able to say, okay, I am in control over my own health and my communication about my health.
Thanks for that. So it's also important to raise the awareness, not only in the team, but also in projects, let's say in research projects. And how do you feel to start a new project? Christina, you just told us about the new project is starting right now. Was it difficult to set it up? So can you, finally, we have only 2 minutes left, but how was your, let's say, your approach to start this new project?
So basically, we have a core team that is working on gender and diversity topics, which are us, the gender equality officers and human relations, so HR. And we sat together and we said we had a lot of great awareness measures that we had from the last project, and it would be great. We still have some open threads, the diversity part, the generation part. So we want to address that. And there was the diversity funding, so we thought, okay, let's give it a try, and let's continue what we're doing to actually go further. And for us, as I said, we have the backing from management. Also, we have some departments doing gender-related research in medical informatics, for example. So for us, these are core topics, and we definitely want to go forward with that in the future.
How many females do you have at the moment? Coming to females?
Right now with 29%, 29.4, I think. So I'd rather say 30, if possible.
And I have to say, we at the AIT are also very focused on gender diversity, of course, and we have about 32% at all in the AIT, a little bit more than 32%. And at the Center of Technology Experience, we are proud that we have about 50% of females. That's very a high percentage, but it's also because of we are focused very interdisciplinary, and we have very interdisciplinary disciplines, of course. So with that, it's 9:45. I thank you all three for your presentations. It was fabulous and so many details. We will share the slides for everyone. And please contact, if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact all three speakers concerning research, concerning experiences of diversity in software development. It's really important to focus on this topic. And also Christine Meisel, thanks you so much to present also the funding opportunities. And with that, I wish you all the best. And I'm switching to the next workshop concerning accessibility, which also digital accessibility is also a very important topic. And finally, I ask you, because you said all role models, we are part of Women in ICT. I was founder of Women in ICT. It's also so important to keep the role models up and make it visible, make women visible, not only women, but also male allies, also very important topic. And please follow us and contact us on LinkedIn. So with that, thanks a lot, and I wish you a very nice and interesting conferences. Thank you very much.